found out my brother stole my inheritance because I wasn't my father's real son, so I destroyed his empire. My name is Callum Reeves, and for most of my life I believed my family was unbreakable. My father was a respected judge in Cedar Hollow. My mother was warmth and grace. My younger brother Ronan was reckless but loyal. And I was the quiet son who carried the family name with pride, until the night I learned everything I loved was built on betrayal and lies. It started with a phone call at 2:14 a.m., the kind of call that makes your chest tighten before you even answer. It was the hospital. They said my father had collapsed in his study, heart failure, sudden, unexpected, final, and just like that, the man who ruled our family with calm authority was gone, leaving behind silence that felt louder than any scream. At the funeral, people spoke of his honor, his integrity, his fairness, words that sounded hollow in my ears, because I stood beside my brother Ronan and noticed something strange. He wasn't crying. Not really. He looked tense, nervous, like a man waiting for something worse than death to arrive. 3 days later, the will was read. I expected nothing unusual. My father was a fair man. He always said everything would be divided equally between Ronan and me. But the lawyer cleared his throat and said words that made my blood run cold. The house, the land, the savings, everything was left to Ronan. Everything. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because it didn't make sense. I thought it was a mistake. I said there must be another page, another clause, another explanation, but there wasn't. Ronan didn't look surprised. He looked prepared. That was the first crack. The second crack came 2 weeks later, when my mother stopped answering my calls. She avoided me, canceled dinners, ignored messages, until finally I drove to the house myself. The house I grew up in, the house that was no longer mine, and when I knocked, Ronan opened the door, his expression cold, distant, unfamiliar. He told me I should leave. Not asked. Told. I laughed again, same hollow laugh. I said this was my home too. But he shook his head slowly and said, "No, Callum, not anymore. My own brother." I asked him why, asked him what I did wrong, asked him what was happening, but he just stood there like a stranger wearing my brother's face. Then he said something that would haunt me forever. He said, "Dad knew the truth." He closed the door in my face. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed those words again and again. Dad knew the truth. Truth about what? I had done nothing. I had been the obedient son, the reliable one, the one who stayed when Ronan ran wild, the one who followed the rules. But something was wrong, and I needed answers. So I broke in. I waited until midnight, used the spare key I hid years ago under the old porch beam, stepped inside the house quietly, every corner filled with memories that now felt poisoned. I went straight to my father's study, the room where he died, the room where secrets lived. I searched everything, drawers, cabinets, bookshelves, until I found a locked drawer. I knew where the spare key was. He always hid it inside the hollow base of the desk lamp. Inside the drawer was a single envelope with my name on it. Callum. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a birth certificate. Not Ronan's. Mine. But the name listed under father wasn't my father's name. It was someone else. Alistair Crow. I didn't recognize the name, but the truth hit me instantly. Judge Thomas Reeves wasn't my biological father. My entire life had been a lie. My chest felt tight, like the air had been stolen from my lungs. Suddenly Ronan's cold eyes, my father's will, my mother's silence, it all made sense. I wasn't his real son. I was something else, something unwanted. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned. My mother stood there, her face pale, eyes filled with guilt. She didn't look surprised to see me. She just looked tired. She said she always hoped I'd never find out. Her voice broke as she told me the truth. Before she met my father, she had an affair with a man named Alistair Crow, a man who left her the moment he learned she was pregnant. My father agreed to raise me as his own, but he never truly forgave her, and in his final act, he erased me. I wasn't his son. I was his punishment. I asked her if Ronan knew. She nodded slowly. He had always known. My own brother had known my entire life. That was the moment something inside me broke. Not loudly, not violently, quietly, completely. I left that house and never came back. For a year, I disappeared. I cut contact, changed my number, moved across the country, built a new life from nothing. But the pain never left. Betrayal doesn't fade. It lives inside you, waiting. Then one night, everything changed. I received a message from a private investigator I had hired months earlier in a moment of weakness and anger. I almost forgot about it. The message said I found Alistair Crowe. Attached was a photo. An older man, wealthy, powerful, smiling like he had never known regret. And beneath the photo was something else. His company name, Crowe Industries. And beneath that, the name of his successor, Ronan Reeves, my brother. My hands shook as the truth finally revealed itself. Ronan hadn't just taken my inheritance. He had taken my birthright. Alistair Crowe was dying, and Ronan had positioned himself as the heir. He had replaced me. He had stolen my life. But he made one mistake. He underestimated me. I spent the next year studying his company, learning its weaknesses, its secrets, its debts. I built connections, earned trust, waited patiently. Revenge is not fire. Revenge is ice, slow, precise, inevitable. Then the opportunity came. Crowe Industries was preparing for its largest merger, a deal that would make Ronan untouchable. And I destroyed it. Quietly, carefully. I leaked evidence of illegal offshore accounts, hidden transactions, fraud buried beneath layers of lies. The scandal exploded overnight. Investors fled, partners withdrew. The empire began to collapse. Ronan called me, his voice shaking. He asked how I did it. I told him the truth. I learned from the best. Our father. He begged me to stop. My brother. Begging. But I remembered the door closing in my face. I remembered the cold in his eyes. I remembered the lifetime of lies. I hung up. Within months, Crowe Industries fell apart. Ronan lost everything, his wealth, his power, his future, and when Alistair Crowe died, there was nothing left to inherit. Nothing left to steal. A week later, I returned to Cedar Hollow. I stood outside the old house, the house that was never truly mine. It was empty now, abandoned, like the family that once lived inside it. Ronan was gone. My mother was gone. The past was gone. But I wasn't broken anymore, because revenge didn't give me my family back. It gave me something else. Freedom. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't living someone else's lie. I was finally living my own truth. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more stories.